Hey, sports fans. This is Robert with WTP Sports Dudes. Today I want to talk about the Big Ten and the four teams that I think have a legitimate chance of winning the Big Ten Conference. And I want to go through their entire schedule of those four teams and give you the predictions that I think win or loss in those games with those four teams. The team that I think is probably in fourth in the Big Ten is Michigan. I'm starting to rethink this thing about Michigan because I'm not sure what's going to play out with this whole situation, with this thing carrying over from last football season. Now they're saying that Sharon Moore had deleted some astronomical amount of text messages. So, I don't know. I don't know. My concern is the effect that this kind of stuff can have on players over a protracted period of time. As a human being, you can only take so much bad news, bad publicity, bad whatever. You can only take so much bad. So I'm hoping that they can gather these young people together and help them make it through this season, especially if Sharon Moore gets suspended for 6 games. But anyway, I think that they got the talent on the team to still be the fourth best team in the Big Ten. So let's go through their schedule. Their first game is against Fresno State. Now, we all know Fresno State is not going to have the manpower or the bodies big enough to stop Michigan from running down their throat. So that's a win for Michigan. Michigan's next game is against Texas. My boys. And listen, I think it could be a good game if Sharon Moore's on the sideline and those players have something to rally around. But if not, I think Texas beats them by double digits. But if Sharon Moore's on that sideline, I think it's going to be a one-score game and it's going to be close because I know at that point Michigan is really going to put 7 or 8 linemen on the field and try to control the tempo of the game with the running game, trying to keep Texas in 2nd and 6, 3rd and 2s. So if they can do that, they can hang in this game against Texas. But if they get too many 3-and-outs with that high-powered offense that Texas has, they can get blown out at the crib in the big house. So hopefully Sharon Moore can get through this thing along with those players, and they can have a good season. Their next game is Arkansas State, another team that I think they're going to run into the ground because they're going to be able to run the ball effectively. Especially if Orgy's not up to passing the ball at this point, they can still run on just about anybody in the country with that offensive line they have and with those backs that they have and with a 240-pound quarterback. Their next game is USC. And I'm not sure if USC is going to be up to the physicality of a Michigan team, but without Sharon Moore, they have a chance of being in the game. But with Sharon Moore, they probably don't have a chance, and they'll probably lose by 10. But I'm picking Michigan to win that game, uh, as I did the other games except for the Texas game. Their next one is at Minnesota. I believe they beat Minnesota. The next one is at Washington. This is going to be a good game because they got to travel all the way to the West Coast. And I think that that time difference can have an effect on a Midwest team. But I do believe that if everything goes right for Michigan at this point with their coach, they could pull out a squeaky victory in this one against Washington. And I got them beating Washington in this game. Their next game is at Illinois. And I'm not sure what Illinois is going to do, but I guess we'll find out when they play. I think they play Kansas or somebody early in the season. I guess we'll find out then if Illinois has anything in the tank like they did 2 years ago. But I really believe Michigan is going to do the same to them like they did to all those other teams early in the season. So I got Michigan beating Illinois, and I also got Michigan beating little brother Michigan State. Their next game is against Oregon. And I think that the pace of this game with Oregon and the talent that Oregon has, because Oregon did a magnificent job in the portal, they did a magnificent job recruiting. Oregon is going to be tough to beat, and Dan Lanning is a heck of a coach. So I'm taking Oregon to win this game against Michigan. Their next game is against Indiana, and I believe they smash Indiana. I believe they smashed Northwestern. And at this point, they're up against their rivalry, the Ohio State Buckeyes at the crib. Michigan will be on a mission to beat Ohio State for the fourth time in a row and to get that guy named Ryan Day his pink slip. Unfortunately, I don't think they will beat Ohio State for the fourth time because I think Ohio State has the second best, most complete team in the country behind Georgia. And I think the Ohio State Buckeyes will be ready for the Michigan Wolverines and they will beat them by at least 10 points in this game. And I believe Michigan will go 9-3, losing to Texas, Oregon, and Ohio State. All of those games are games that Michigan should be okay with losing, even though they don't want to ever lose to Ohio State. But those are not bad losses against those teams because all three of those teams are ranked in the top four in the college. I mean, in the coaches poll. All four of them. I mean, three of them are ranked in the top four. So Michigan, that's nothing to be worried about or be upset about if you lose to those three teams. The next team I want to talk about is the team that I think is the third best team in the Big Ten, and that's the Penn State Nittany Lions. They got one heck of a home field advantage whenever you got to go to Happy Valley because their fans they jump around, they get busy. They're not like jumping around like it's Wisconsin, but they do get crunk in their stadium. And here's their schedule for 2024. Right out the gate, they go to West Virginia, which is a very hostile environment. And as a Texas fan, we know how tough it was to go and play in West Virginia. So that's going to be a good game and a good test for Penn State early in the season. But I believe Penn State has too much talent for West Virginia, and they beat West Virginia by at least double digits. Their next game is against Bowling Green. And I appreciate Penn State for giving an Ohio team some money. But they're going to thump Bowling Green, but Bowling Green going to get paid. They also play Kent State, another Ohio team. Penn State, man, y'all just want to give us money, don't you? But listen, we thank you for it. But Kent State, you're going to get that money, but you're getting thumped because Penn State going to whip your tail. Their next game is against Illinois, and I believe they're going to thump Illinois, and then I believe they're going to thump UCLA, and then it's at USC, a Midwest team traveling across the country to go play USC in the Coliseum. I got Penn State winning this game, but I'm telling you right now, USC is going to have a bitter taste in their mouth because they have a tough schedule in that Big Ten, playing against some pretty uh, physical teams. And I think they're going to want to have something to prove against Penn State, and I think they're going to keep that game close. But I do believe Penn State will win that game. Their next game is at Wisconsin, another team that I think is going to have something to prove, and they're going to want to try to get back up in the upper echelon of the Big Ten, especially with the likes of USC and Oregon and Washington coming into the Big Ten. Wisconsin does not want to fall to be becoming a sixth, seventh, eighth best team in the Big Ten. So they got some work to do. They need to get on their thing. so that they can start running that ball effectively like Wisconsin teams do. But I believe that Penn State is going to beat Wisconsin at home where they jump around. Their next game is against the Ohio State Buckeyes. And I talked in an earlier video about how Penn State has got to find a way to beat the likes of the Ohio States and the Michigans. Now they're going to have to start beating the likes of the USCs, the Oregons, and the Washingtons of the world, because they're all going to be in the same conference. And Penn State doesn't want to be one of those teams that's going to fall further behind because they're already behind Ohio State and Michigan. So they got to find a way to win this game, but I don't think they do because, like I said earlier, Ohio State probably has the second best team from top to bottom on both offense and defense in the country. And I believe Ohio State wins that game against Penn State, even though I believe it'll be a good game. Their next game is against Washington, and I believe they're going to beat Washington, but it'll be a good game. And then they're at Purdue. They're going to smack Purdue. And that's a good game to have to play after playing Ohio State and, well, really you're going Wisconsin. No, you're going USC, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Washington. You want to get a cupcake like Purdue after running a four-team gauntlet like that. So they get Purdue, and I think they're going to beat up on Purdue in that game. And then I believe they're going to beat up on Minnesota and Maryland, and I think they're going to go 11-1, only losing to the Ohio State Buckeyes. The next team is the Oregon Ducks, who I believe is the second best team in the Big Ten. They might turn out to be the best team in the Big Ten because they have a lot of talent. And I believe they're going to go 11-1 as well, only losing to the Ohio State Buckeyes. But I'm going to go down their schedule. Idaho win, Boise State win, Oregon State win, UCLA win, Michigan State win, Ohio State loss, Purdue win, Illinois win, Michigan win. Ooh. Maryland win, Wisconsin win, and Washington to end the season. Oregon with another win, going 11-1. Now let me say something about these Oregon Ducks, because they got that quarterback out of Oklahoma, who I like him as a player, I really do, and he single handedly beat Texas last year to put that only blemish on Texas' record in the regular season. But the quarterback is going to be the difference for them this season. This guy has played a lot of college football. A lot of college football. So he's not going to see anything in the Big Ten that he hasn't seen in the other conferences that he played in. The Big 12 and the conference he was in before when he played, I think he played for UCF. This guy can really play. So I'm telling you now, Big Ten, you better be ready because Lanning and that offense is going to scheme some things up for him, and he's going to be hard to beat. And he's going to give everybody troubles except for if he has to go and play in some of that bad weather in the Midwest. That's that's his kryptonite, going and playing in that bad weather in the Midwest. So teams that are in the Midwest, when he comes to town, you got a chance to get at him if that weather is crazy like it is in Kansas and places like that. So I think they're going to go 11-1. The team that I think is the best in the Big Ten is the Ohio State Buckeyes. Now listen, I hope that the Ohio State Buckeyes can win the Big Ten this season, just so the people around Columbus don't have to walk around with their heads down, man. I'm tired of seeing y'all in the dumps for 3 years straight. Y'all been in the dumps, man. Now, I really can't complain. I really can't say too much because for 10 years, 13 years, I believe, I was in the dumps with them Texas Longhorns. But I ain't in the dumps no more because we went to the college football playoffs last year. But back to you Buckeyes. Listen, y'all got to run the table this year. Y'all got to go undefeated. And y'all got to beat the Michigan Wolverines. Because if you don't beat the Michigan Wolverines, Brian Hartline might be your next head coach. Because if y'all don't beat the Michigan Wolverines, y'all already know Ryan Day got to go. Y'all already know Ryan Day got to go and be an offensive coordinator somewhere else because he can't stay down the street on High Street with the Buckeyes anymore. He can't be that team on High Street anymore. He can't be there anymore if they lose to Michigan. So their first game is against Akron. We all know that's a win. Western Michigan, that's a win. Marshall, that's a win. Michigan State, that's a win. Iowa, physical team, but I think that's a win because their offense probably still sucks like it did last year. At Oregon, I'm going to give Ohio State the win at Oregon because I think their defense can slow Dan Lanning offensive play calling down to a crawl, and Ohio State can beat them in Oregon. And plus, they want some get back when Oregon came here and beat them, upset them, when they should not have beaten Ohio State that year that they played them about 3 years ago. And I think they beat Nebraska, even though I'm looking forward to that Nebraska game because I really believe that Nebraska is a sleeper team in the Big Ten, and they're going to be better than what we have seen in the past maybe 10 years since they've been in the Big Ten. I think they go to Penn State and beat Penn State. I think they beat Purdue. I believe they beat Northwestern. They beat Indiana. And then they come to their rivalry against Michigan, who I know will come to play, but I don't think they're going to have enough in the tank, especially if Orgy hasn't figured out how to pass that ball down the field and in the intermediate routes. Now, they got a very good tight end, and if they could get that thing rolling where they get those safeties, worried about that tight end and get something over the top over their head, if but Michigan don't really have that good receivers either, like they had in the past. So I ain't even gonna talk about that. Michigan, y'all probably not gonna win this game, but I still love y'all. I still love all the Michigan fans, but I don't think y'all gonna win this game, and Ryan Day gonna get to save his job. So with that being said, I believe that the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Oregon Ducks are going to play again for the Big Ten championship and might possibly even meet each other again for a third time in the college football playoffs. So that's my predictions on the four best teams that I believe that there are in the Big Ten. So please remember to subscribe to our channel. Please hit the like button. If you haven't watched all the videos, please go back and watch the videos. Hit the like button on those videos. Share the videos with your friends on your social media. And ask your friends, hey, could you please subscribe to my buddy's channels? To my homies' channels, so that way we can get more subscribers. We'd be able to get better content, better equipment, all that good stuff. So, thank you, Big Ten, for letting me talk about you today. Hoko.